I'm so sorry. I have to pee so bad. Can I pee?
It's all good.
Is it cool? I know.
Right time.
I know.
All right. Pay attention. We're gonna teach you something real special today. This is two coins with my boy Wally, then Ronnie, wherever you're at, we're at. Showing two sides of the same coin. Let me know what y'all think. 2 coins. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter today.
And welcome back to the 2 Coin Podcast. It's your boy Ronnie.
And I'm Waleed, the other side of the coin. Today's episode is brought to you by Corona Beer.
Hell yeah,
They've been taking a hit in sales ever since the virus.
Hey man, but we'll fuck with them.
We shouting them out. So when you guys come up, just
go get
make
some
sure
Corona.
to pay me.
Hell yeah, man. We need to cut of that check.
Yep.
Man, and today we got a special guest, Nikki. You know what I mean? Close friend, old friend. Met her out in SJSU and all of that.
Long-time friend and supporter of the podcast.
Hell yes,
and this has been a long time coming.
Absolutely.
And she got a new mixtape coming out.
It's coming out. If you want to see a little preview, it'll be at the end of the show. Just hold on.
Voice of the streets.
Man.
No, happy to be here. Love you guys. Thank you.
Nah, hell yeah, man. It's always fun to just, you know what I mean, come back and reminisce with people we met from back in the day. You know what I mean?
And I always tell you, bro, this is the biggest part of why we do the podcast. It's because we get to reconnect with people that otherwise we wouldn't reconnect with if it wasn't
for the podcast.
Yeah, for the podcast. There's a lot of people that we got on here that's just man, just come on, kick it. We get to catch up, what's going on in your life, what's going on in my life.
Exactly.
And then it's a vibe, bro. So
it's so important. I feel like the entire time before this, I feel like we've talked so much. I'm okay, we have material, right? I hope we can fucking do all of this already. But
the whole 2 hours before we hit record could have just been a whole recording.
It really could have.
It could have.
We could not stop talking, but I'm happy to be here. I miss you guys. Yay.
Yeah. Nah, facts, man.
So right off the bat, biggest thing about the 2 Coin Podcast is every guest that we get on here, we like to talk about their background. So, not to put you on the spot, but we've been talking about this. Biggest thing why we like going to SJSU or why we reminisce on SJSU and enjoy our experience there so much is because it was so diverse and we met a lot of people from different backgrounds. So just kind of explain your background, being from Iranian parents, the Persian background and the culture, and how that influences you now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, yes, I do have 2 full Iranian parents. They moved here in the 70s, exactly during the revolution. So, right before the revolution. So, luckily, they did have this different experience than others that, had to experience Iran during all of that. Yeah. But they came here to finish up their undergrad, 1 year of their undergrad, and progressed in school in the States until they got together and then moved to Virginia, where they had my brother in New Mexico, but then Virginia. And then...
Wait, so when they first came, were they in California and then moved to Virginia?
No, my dad came to California, mom came to Tennessee.
Okay.
So both of them separate, both of them still not dating, or still not, whatever, it's still...
Did they know each other before they moved out here?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
And I think there was a little bit of a romance, but no, obviously shit's difficult, nothing to plan, we're just about to flee to this entire other country,
Yeah.
So, but I think once they did that whole California Tennessee thing, I think it took no time in terms of my dad being let me I'm gonna come to you,
Yeah.
So in retrospect though, not
move.
to complain, I wish mom would have went to dad in California, so we would have had a mansion in SF at this point, in terms of investments. But whatever, it is what it is. They came from state to state. Dad came to California, mom Tennessee. They moved together. In Tennessee, and have honestly lived in so many states in the U.S.
How many you think?
In terms of experience, I hope I don't butcher this, but there was Tennessee, Texas, New Mexico, California, Virginia, and then I think after Virginia it was Ensenada.
And this is all through the 70s, 80s, huh?
Yeah, so they
early.
came through, they left right before the revolutions in the mid to late 70s.
So okay, not even to cut you off,
Mm-hmm.
but and this might get into a whole deeper topic that we can get into later.
Right.
I feel coming as an immigrant to America and experiencing every different state, particularly the red states, if we're just being honest here, that gives you a better exposure to America and to what to prepare for and the cultural shock that awaits you. Because my parents personally, they came out here from Sudan, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know shit about America either, but they lived only in New York and in California, the two most liberal places
No way.
in America. So they haven't experienced anything outside of like liberal America.
Yeah.
So it's like now when we see the shit on the news, it's almost like shocking.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
So I don't know if that has any type of effect.
Well, I agree. There are like major red states, but even with my parents, just like I would say me, I won't speak for everyone, but me, like as I've grown, I've seen and learned so much. Like it is the same for our parents. Like they saw and learned so much. Like I think in the beginning it wasn't such a whoa, holy shit, red state. It was like, oh, Tennessee, cool, America. Like it was a very like
Different
I'm so
approach.
excited to be here type thing.
An open-minded
Like
view.
I just left Iran, this like place that's about to go through this massive revolution, where somewhere that is supposed to be the land of the free, and like, you know, so they were very excited.
Yeah.
So that was their mindset. But again, like not to get too heavy into this, but the late 70s was also like complete turmoil between Iran and America, Iranian hostage crisis, all that stuff, like to the point where like my mom told me once that like one of her professors, because they came here to pursue their PhDs in the States, and like one of her professors pulled her aside like, hey, like if there is ever anything that you feel unsafe about, like please come, like tell us, like tell the school, because I mean there's women getting sexually assaulted in elevators and like whatever, like it just Iran and America relationships were not good, especially peaking in the 70s. But yeah, like later on moved to Virginia. And then Mexico, where they had my brother was already born in New Mexico, had my brother moved to Virginia. And then later, my dad got a job in actually Ensenada, which is Baja California. So, like, not too far across the border, but, like, still no longer the United States, you know? So, like, now they're in Ensenada. They've got my brother. They lived 2 years there. I have no idea how my mom and dad, you know, acclimated to in terms of language and stuff.
Did they get fluent
like,
in Spanish?
Yeah, like, I mean, they would say yeah. I would also say yeah, because they apparently, like, somehow succeeded within 8 years in Ensenada. So, like, they worked there at a research company or a research institute.
Can they understand Spanish though? I mean, I know speaking it is one thing, but
I'm not gonna lie, my Spanish is garbage.
Dude, trust me, same. They can probably understand and pick up way more than the average American, which says something, because I feel like the average American, like, potentially knows some Spanish here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on
maybe
where.
the average Californian.
I was about to say, I don't
Maybe
think
the
I don't
average
think in
Southern
Indiana.
Californian.
Hola, me llamo James.
Can I get a burrito?
Very fucking true. But they somehow survived like 2 years, had me. And so I was born in San Diego. My mom just had me in San Diego across the border, like just more comfortable with whatever San Diego doctors, her English speaking language.
California born and bred.
California born and bred, but like my dad likes to say I was made in Mexico, so it was
She like the t-shirts that you see on the tag, made in Mexico.
Made in Mexico. But yeah, so yeah, my first 6 years were in Mexico. My brother spent 8 years in Mexico. And since he's like 6 years older than me, he went through all of primary school. So similar to you, like moving from Harlem.
Saudi Arabia.
But also Harlem though.
Harlem, yeah.
Yeah, like so like you
That's
said
a
you
crazy ass little
I
distance.
spent
Saudi Arabia to Harlem.
Yeah.
To those
Cali.
people who are watching and don't know, I spent
Yeah.
all of elementary school in like the East Coast, Harlem, and New Jersey. So.
He was telling me he spent up until almost 6th grade in Harlem, and that was my brother in Ensenada. So, like, he learned to read and write in Spanish, right? So that's, like, a different experience.
He probably just picking up Spanish chicks all through his, like, later years.
He still tells me, to this point, he sometimes dreams in Spanish. Like, he actually plays the Spanish guitar, too, like, whatever.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no. Dreams in Spanish, speaks, like, in his head, thinks in Spanish, whatever. Like, language is wild, and that's a different topic. But
I was about to say, bro, I had that convo with my mom, and she was just like, yeah, because her native tongue is Malayalam, but we were talking about it, and she was just like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? I never really noticed the shift, but if you want to say it that way, then yeah, I was dreaming in Malayalam, I thought in Malayalam, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't think about it as a human, you're just doing human things, it's just how you
thoughts.
to exactly.
You don't think about what language you're thinking them in.
So, I mean, do you have any memories from that? Because what's the age difference between you and your brother?
5.5 to 6 years, so it's solid.
Okay. So
solid.
you were like a little...
I was a little baby, dude.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and that's why, like, Kayla, if you're watching LOL, she always gives me so much fucking shit every time I bring up Ensenada. And same with my Mexican friends, because they're like, dude, like...
It's like, oh, you're Mexican?
Barely, yeah. They're like, barely, like, you don't even speak Spanish, whatever. Like, and I get that, I acknowledge, and if I spoke Spanish, I'd have way more credibility here, which would lead me into my future topics. But, like... I do still think that the first 6 years of your life is kind of pivotal if anyone has studied children's psychology, whatever, like a little bit, like, but as my mom has told me, like, in terms of Mexican culture and Iranian culture, it's very similar. So there's a lot of overlaps, and I think my parents, despite the language barrier, like, really were comfortable there.
Yeah.
Like, people respect their elders. Like, the neighbors are your family, you know? Like, if someone's sick, you bring food. Like, it's just the way it is. And
it's funny because, like, I always notice my dad's interaction with, like, other foreigners. He's always, like, most comfortable at, like, other Mexican dudes. Whether it's the mechanic or, like, the guy that's fixing his, like, you know, washer and dryer. He's always comfortable with the hardworking, you know,
Facts,
the
bro.
Mexican people, because, like, he can just relate with them.
That's...
Even though there's a language barrier, they can understand each other, just, like,
absolutely,
based on vibes.
Hey, hard work understands hard work, bro, at the end of the day.
It's a language in and of itself.
Yeah, no,
Literally.
absolutely, it is.
Guy code.
Shut the fuck up.
There's a Geico commercial on right now.
Could save you. Yeah, no, it's important, and it's something to be noted.
Oh, no, mom, I said guy code.
Guy code.
I
heard guy code too.
Yeah, I heard
I
Geico.
literally heard. I was like, I like was ready to.
I'm over here like Geico commercial. Wait a minute, you know I can't.
15 minutes.
I was like, I
This
didn't know
thought's
Geico
fucking
was
with my head.
predominantly Mexican. Like, I don't know.
15 minutes will save you 15% or less.
Oh, we.
Hate you guys,
Nah.
but yeah, no, it was. That's something to be noted in terms of like comfort with my family and in Mexico, but. Yeah, so when we did move to California, to the States, we moved to Dublin. And that was in 2001.
Oh, okay.
And in terms of what I remember, like, to your question of, like, Ensenada in Mexico, like, I do remember my friends, I remember my house, I remember my family. But also, like, a lot of it is home videos. So, like, I can't tell if it's really my memories or just me rewatching shit.
Yeah.
But... yeah, we moved to 2001 in Dublin, and my brother was just entering 6th grade. So at this point, homie knows how to, like, read and write, like, like...
everything Spanish.
He's Spanish. Like, he can speak Spanish, and he can speak Farsi. And he can speak a little bit of English. But
to this day, he's fluent in Spanish, too?
Yeah.
Trilingual by the time you're in the 6th grade. That's pretty impressive.
Pretty dope. Yeah. No, like, which brings me to my next topic of, like, how much bitterness I have. Because, like, I came, right, and, like, I have Spanish and Farsi at this point, but I'm 6. Like, I can barely even talk in regular, like, I can barely say sentences at this point.
You just understand humans.
I just understand humans. I'm in 6th grade, whatever, and at this point, like, I remember, like, you know, there's something called dual immersion in Pleasanton area. I don't know much about it. All I know is, like, Natasha, some of my friends were in dual immersion, which means parents put you in at a young age, like kindergarten, and you learn another language. In her case, it was Spanish. And now, like, she grew up, like, through all of her education with learning Spanish, so she's fluent, right? So much of my recent times, like, this is recent years, past 5 years, I've been, like, bitter at my mom and been like, dude, why didn't you put me in dual immersion? We just came from fucking Mexico, like, this was the perfect time for me to continue
use some extra Spanish.
learning. And, like, yeah, it's dope that I'm bilingual, sure, but, like, it would have been super cool if I was also trilingual. You know what I mean? My brother is, like, what the fuck?
Sometimes
also,
I wish I could shoot the shit with people in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just, like, let people know I'm fluent. Like,
you know how useful that shit is right
it's
now in
hella
California?
useful.
And in my company, my main manufacturing, like, people are in Mexico, so, like, the amount of language barrier that there is currently, like, I could have, like, been, like,
over
hey,
all
what's
that
up?
shit.
Yeah. No, for sure. But, so that was my, like recent 5 years critique of my, unfair, let me say, critique of my parents. But the more I've learned in the recent years, like, and the more I just think and, like, have a global perspective of, like, who my parents were, like, my parents had just immigrated, right? And then they spent 6 years in Mexico, and now they're in California, and they have 2 children, like, Nikki and Ashkan, who are, like, you know, whatever, at this point, speaking little English. And, you know, if they were watching this right now, they'd be like, no, we, like, totally tried to implement English in Mexico, which they did. But, like, Farsi was their strongest language, and our friends in our daycare and our schools spoke Spanish, so let's be serious.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right? Like, English was number 3 at that point. As a parent, now I learn that all you want is your children to assimilate. Right?
Oh, you're
like,
a parent?
No.
And it's
so
where we had
funny.
that button. Woo, woo,
You're so
woo.
fucking whiny, funny, Willie. No, but, like, I now see from a parent perspective, from an immigrant parent
No,
experience.
I was gonna like cut in and say, like, as an adult, you understand your parents' struggles as an adult. Like, So, like, you put yourself in their shoes a lot easier. Like, okay, if I was 24, 25, coming to a completely different country with a completely different culture and language, like, I wouldn't have been able to survive.
Yeah.
Like, knowing me, how I was at 24, like, hell no. Like, that's what my dad did. That's how he came to America at 24. And I'm just like, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
I couldn't even
It's a different set of stresses, too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not even just about you coming out, you know what I mean? You still got family to think about, you know what I mean? There's just so many other factors that's also there.
You gotta learn the language.
I mean?
You gotta learn the culture. You gotta
and
find
then,
a job.
And then you got the whole aspect of dealing with the culture. Yeah, bro.
It's like, nah, I would not have been ready for all that.
Yeah, no, literally.
That's true.
But that leads me into my next topic, though. It's like, so we talk about, like, I mean, each of us, like, has a pretty unique background that we can all tell. But, I mean, we all met at San Jose State, and I feel like San Jose State has, like, exposed us to people with, like, similar backgrounds. So how would you say your background has helped you, like, in your college career? And how would you say, like, meeting other people with similar backgrounds has influenced you now?
Wow. I mean, yeah, it's been a massive influence. Yeah, so after Dublin, like, my mom and dad's goal to assimilate succeeded greatly. Like, I assimilated, you know? Like, I moved to Pleasanton, and I really do feel like, in my mind, subconsciously, not even knowing it, in retrospect, I'm seeing that, like, my efforts were to assimilate. So, at Amador Valley High School, like, I assimilated. I don't know, I feel like I saw myself as, like, super similar and stuff, which I probably am, you know, like, in terms of identity and what I identify as. Like, there's probably a lot of overlap, but it was a primarily sheltered town that was privileged. I want to say the majority were white people, but also, like, I can't deny there was a lot of Asians, there were a lot of Indians, like, there were other cultures.
There was a lot of white folks.
There was a lot of white folks. I just want to say, too, though.
Let me put it this way, bro. Like, not even to cut you off, because it seemed like what you saying, too, it's something that a lot of, like, just being, you know what I mean, a different race in an environment, there's nothing wrong with the fact that you assimilated. So it's like, I really feel you on the sense that when you're saying there's overlap, it's like, there are probably certain aspects that you had in common with them, but at the root and at its core, you're part of a different community.
And that's not what I realized, Ronnie, and that'll lead to our next topic, but until I fucking came to San Jose State and essentially met you guys.
No, yeah.
So, outside of San Jose, real quick, what were some other places you were about to go to?
Like, in terms of what?
Colleges.
Like, colleges?
Yeah. That could have kind of, like, closed off this mindset that you now have.
None. Dude, bruh, San Jose State was the only college that I could have picked that was going to give me this perspective. I'm telling you right now, I applied to 13 UCs, all of them, damn near, except
UCLA,
for,
UC Berkeley,
I chose
UC Santa
two
Barbara.
that was like, oh, reach school, and, like,
but
all
I mean,
of them ended up being reach
if you
schools.
went to Berkeley, I mean, I could still see you. You know what I mean?
Bruh,
I'm talking about what other cities, like, if you went to Chico, I don't see you being like this. If you went to, like, SLO, I don't see you being like this.
Santa Barbara.
But if you went to UCLA, like, you're in LA. I'm talking about, like,
nah,
where
dude, not even, Ronnie. Even if I went to UCLA or if I went to fucking UC Berkeley,
Bro,
it was not going to be the same as San Jose State. San Jose State was special and different.
It was.
Because San Jose State is almost like a microcosm of the Bay Area.
I would have been with dude, UCLA's filled with fucking the same shit.
But I'm talking about just as far as, like, the city that you're at. Because I'm looking at San Jose gave you that experience, not San Jose State.
The city of San Jose.
The city
being
of San Jose.
in San Jose.
Sure, you're right.
Versus,
you're right.
like, if you
You're
were
right.
in the city of SLO,
good point.
you wouldn't
Maybe
have
Merced. I mean, I don't know. I'm not that like well versed on a lot of these cities, but, like, I got into Merced, I got into Riverside, and then the rest were honestly primarily, like, party college white towns. Like, I don't.
Hey, what was the percentage of you going to one of those? You weren't even thinking about it?
I was focused on number one thing, which, like, was my major.
That's
like,
good,
I
though.
gave a fuck about, like, I got into San Diego State, and I actually even got into San Diego State for, like, the honors program or whatever.
Can you go to SD State?
Honestly, bro.
Bruh, I was about to. I was
Okay.
this close to. Thank God I...
That's crazy.
Can I say I got denied into San Diego State? And I was fucking salty about that. Because I'm like, I should not have been denied. And it's like...
You should not have been
First
denied.
of all, fuck y'all for acting like you're UC and denying motherfuckers with over a 3.0.
Denying me?
And then, like, my brother's going there now, and now he's, like, gonna transfer there. And I'm just like, man, fuck this shit. Like,
I should have been the one that graduated
okay,
first.
I'm not gonna lie. If I got into San Diego State, I would have went there. So But I'm glad I got into San Jose because
I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Because something I didn't factor in was being, because we're all from NorCal. Like, one thing I didn't factor in was being, like, that close to home.
You feel like you would have vibed in San Diego State, honestly?
I don't think so. I don't think it would have been the school for me.
So then what the fuck are you seeing? Like, you really feel like...
But I didn't see that at, like, 17,
At
18.
17.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying this shit worked out. Because, like, I would have gone. Honestly, full transparency, I missed the deadline to apply for the honors program that I was offered at San Diego State. So that also, like, helped me be like, well, shit. And number two, like, they didn't have biomedical engineering. They just had, like, biomedical engineering, like, for masters.
Gotcha.
So I was like, okay, like, San Diego looks dope. And then 3, which unfortunately, like, I don't want to admit it, but might be also number 1, is the fact that I didn't want to be that far from my family. Like, I'm super close to my family.
That's what I was going to say. That's one thing I didn't factor in when I went into making the decision during high school, was being how close I was to family. I just got lucky with picking a school that was close to home. But then being close to home is one of the things that helped me get through school. Like, I mean, just being able to go back home and just, like, have that.
Honestly, I like, part of me, like, I remember I talked to my pops about this a lot. I kind of wish that they didn't move to LA just for that aspect. You know what I mean?
They're in LA right now.
Yeah, because they moved my...
Just being an hour away from them.
Bruh, literally, they were in Walnut Creek up until...
They're not in Walnut Creek anymore.
Nah, my start of my sophomore year, they moved to LA.
Damn, it's been a minute.
So then it's one of those, like, I had no reason, or not even a reason, but, like, when I go back home, it was like, when you got your folks home, it's like, I'm back at my folks' house, then you go out and kick it with everybody.
But you got home base. It always felt like a safe retreat that you can go back to.
Exactly. Yeah. Now it's just like...
Have you thought about, like, moving to LA? I'm sure you have.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, LA comes with the whole aspect of, like, now I got to just get myself accustomed to a new city just in general.
Yeah, now it's like...
You know what I mean? With them still being in Walnut Creek, it's like I still got homies' parents that still lives there.
Right here, and then my homies are right here.
Like, and they're still in the Bay, like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, a part of me, like, I always talk about moving to LA and, like, I want to leave. But a part of me feels like I could never leave the Bay. Like,
yeah.
And I always tell people, like, another thing is, like, I appreciated home way more after I moved out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, when I was there, like, as a high schooler, 15, 16, 17, I was like, fuck this place. I want to move out and never come back. But then, like, when I went to college and I got to, like, come back as, like, an adult, I'm like, okay. I got to appreciate my home for what it was worth. And I don't think I would have gotten that if I would have, like, moved away farther.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
No, exactly. Dude, being close to home is, like, yeah. I remember when I was choosing schools, actually, like, a couple of my friends who were, like, obviously going farther and stuff, like, from Pleasanton, were like, I don't know, man, like, San Jose is, like, pretty close. And, like, they know me, right? These are my homies. And they're like, Nikki, I feel like you would benefit from, like, potentially, you know.
Leaving the country.
Like, exactly. Move wherever it hurts. Like, you know, get that space, get that growth, whatever. And it was kind of ironic now thinking back. Because, like, in terms of growth and shit, like, sure, like, geography has nothing to do with growth.
But Nikki, you know what's crazy though? It's like your relationship with your parents is by no means relatable to your friend's relationship with their parents. You know what I mean? Because you come from a whole different background, so it's like your culture's different. You know what I mean? You're factoring your culture when you're making decisions too. And
damn, I've never thought about it like that actually.
You know what I mean?
It's wild.
It's always in your subconscious.
That's true.
Like I never realized that until later either.
No, I actually have. Wow, like I understand that Iranian culture, like, we respect our elders more, all this shit, all these cultural differences, but I don't think I've ever put 2 and 2 together in terms of why I don't want to move too far.
Yeah.
But it's true, and it's ironic, because, like, I ended up moving, 26 miles away from my home, and, like, less than a lot of my friends, and in a way, like, I just feel like the global perspective that I've gained has been, like, unmatched.
Hey, I mean, I always say, bro, like, I'm trying to, like, raise my family next to my parents. Like, you feel me? I never got to know any of my grandparents like that. You know what I mean? Never had a relationship. So it's just one of those, like, already me being an only child, and I'm, like, the last person with our last name, all that shit. You know what I mean? I'm trying to create at least something. You feel me? Yeah, but it's outside of a legacy. I'm actually trying to continue the family that my folks left their family to come start out here. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if I had, like, you know what I mean? I talk to my mom all the time about her having other kids, but it's different if we came out here through my dad's job. Like, my mom was the one that brought us to America. So it's like, people don't realize, like, when you can't go on a maternity leave or you can't take time off when your visa and all this shit. And like you said, when 9/11 happened, Indians were just, like, a byproduct of that whole...
Absolutely.
Like, the racial profiling, you know what I mean? And especially, you think about, like, my parents are from South India. They're far away from the Middle East to the sense of a lot of like the people that have like not relations, like have similarities with people in the Middle East and South India.
No, they just get lumped in with everybody else. Like, oh, you're a terrorist.
Not facts.
Like, yeah.
But no, it's one of those, if you're Muslim, like the Muslims in South India, they have similarities with Arabs and stuff through religion.
Yeah.
But when you talk about daily life, like just...
But the culture and the religion and everyday life is so different. But just
because you got to think, even within India, like state to state culture is different.
So
you know what I mean?
different.
So now we're talking about like...
I cannot believe that shit was a thing and that people actually got lumped in. And even if you were south, north, east, west, whatever the fuck, like, nobody should have been lumped into anything.
So, because you got to think, bro, we didn't get our green card until, like, they were here for, like, I think 10 or 11 years.
I still talk to my dad sometimes about, like, what life was like pre-TSA. Like,
You don't remember?
No, I don't remember.
Shut
up.
up.
My memory, like, stops at, like, when I was 4 years old.
And, bro, but
I was 4 years old in
You've been
99.
older than that.
Nah, but even then,
99,
You don't remember
TA's
going up to the gates?
No, I mean, there are certain ones, but I mean, then again, you got to also think, like, TSA really started in 2001. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were babies, yeah.
You feel me? So when he says he remembers
right,
only things
you're
from
right.
4 years old, that's still fucking young.
I do
4
remember
to 6.
Like, going up to the gates, though,
Yeah,
and stuff.
because, like, 9/11, I was 5. It's like,
I remember
that,
exactly where I was, for
but
sure.
it's like, my memory before that, it's, like, spotty.
That was right before your 6th birthday.
I feel like that's when my consciousness kicked in.
Remember his birthday?
Oh, yeah, I mean, 9/11, his birthday.
9/11, my
October.
birthday.
October is your birthday. Yeah,
October
right before.
13th.
Yay.
I was born on Friday the 13th.
I remember.
Not to be like superstitious, but like
That's
Friday
why,
the 13th.
That's why bad luck can't
I
happen.
love that shit.
Friday the 13th was my 22nd birthday, 2017, and I got into a car accident and I totaled my car.
No.
God damn.
Yeah.
All right, on your 33rd and your 44th
So,
and your 55th, just
the
be
car
careful.
that I still drive now. The car that I still
What
drive
happened on
now.
your 11th birthday?
Yeah, what the fuck? Let's backtrack.
I was born on Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th.
You said on your 22nd birthday you got in a car accident.
Yeah.
We're saying like 11, 22nd, 33rd, 44th.
So what happened when
risky
you were
birthday.
11?
When I was 11, probably some fuck shit. I can't
You
remember.
were like, homie ate my birthday cake and...
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Homie ate my birthday.
Because it was definitely a birthday in my fucking classroom somewhere.
But hey, y'all remember fucking bringing like a box of candy to school and like on your birthday, like who you gave this shit to first was like, oh yeah, hey man, I fuck, you know what I mean? Hey, here you go, like yeah, you know, like
My
you
mom
know
showed
what I
up with
mean?
like a birthday cake.
Really?
My elementary school years, yeah.
Bro, this is only
Same with my
elementary.
mom.
Yeah.
Same with my mom, for sure.
Shout out to moms.
No, shout out to
I
my
love
mom.
you, mama.
Out here fucking bringing my cake to kindergarten and Sonata class.
Yeah. Hey,
But
so I mean, with everything at state, you know what I mean? What would you say? I feel like you're gonna have like hella different moments, you know what I mean? But if you had to
There's
pick
so
one
many
moment
moments.
that sticks out above everything else, that you can sum up your SJ experience.
Your
with.
college experience.
Okay, well, I don't know if we spoke on it enough, but in terms of like just the exposure, in terms of diversity and
Different
like
cultures,
yeah. San Jose
Not
did
even
that
to cut
for
you
me.
off, but like if you look at like our
Oh, my bad. I'm just-
our housing situation, it was me, and then it was you, and then it was Nick and Nick, 2 white dudes, and then it was Phil,
DJ
a Korean
Phil.
dude, and then it was DJ, and then it was
Almir.
Almir, a Bosnian dude, and it's like, bro, you got to experience all different flavors of people.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
just only
that's
one
crazy.
house, dude.
That's one
like
house.
my freshman year, like my freshman floor, like I'm not even just saying this because I feel like we connected freshman year and like went on from there. I'm not even just trying to be a cornball, but like in terms of my college experiences, yeah, the most memorable and like the most iconic thing that I will never forget is my freshman year, because that is the year that I came and saw all this shit. And then, you know, you go home for break. So I went back to the suburbs for break and like,
Hey, what was that first trip back home like for you? As far as like, here's a better way
Going
to put
back
it.
home after moving out.
Yeah, so the first, but not even just your relation with your parents. Touching on what you were saying as
not
far
even
as like
about my parents. Yeah,
you know what
my
I mean?
parents have
With your-
always been there. Yeah, no, it was
with your friends.
It was about my friends. It was about not even my like it was just about the people, right? Like the Christmas party that you go to.
How long were you away? Like 3 months?
Yeah, like probably we moved in
September, October, November?
August to November. Let's say
So
we
4
went back
months?
for Thanksgiving. We had a Thanksgiving party. I remember I went like.
So that 4 months made you have a whole different perspective on a lot of shit.
I'm not gonna lie.
I feel you on that,
freshman
like-
year when we had to go
I'm
back home.
telling you.
I didn't want to go back home.
I felt like I just got here.
Yeah, I'm just like, fuck. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I had
It
this
was-
massive attachment to San Jose State. All my friends, are
Yeah,
you kidding
yeah.
me? Like, I feel like also on top of that, I was in the middle of like falling in love and like all of this shit, and like not just romantically, but like I had met my soulmate Tati too, that we had like just connected. Like, so, you know, those people that you just fucking connect with. Like, I had several of those. At
Everybody that I fucked
Shout
with.
out to Tati.
Shout out to Tati.
Everybody that I fucked with freshman year, I still keep in touch with.
No, me too. And I swear, again, I'm not just saying that because I'm on this fucking podcast. I'm being genuine when I say that the personalities and people I met, like, are unmatched.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I genuinely, like, and I mean, Miko and Kayla are still, like, to this day, like, I see them on the regular, you know? And, like, I will love to see you guys more and all that shit. But anyways, I went home, and yeah, that experience was for sure, like,
mind blowing,
eye-opening. Like, goddamn, like, not even to blast Pleasanton, because this is not just, like, all of Pleasanton, but, like, yeah, like, I've grown a lot, and I feel like I would have grown regardless of where I've gone, but I think San Jose State definitely expedited it. And, you know, when I came home for that first break, I am very close to my parents, like I've said, right?
Yeah.
So I experienced that shit from, like, my friends and, like, people that I knew from Pleasanton, and I came home and my parents invented, like, dude, this, and this happened. Like, they said this, and this. And in terms of, like, what people are saying, like, maybe I went to a random party, and maybe it was just, like, a very casual thing that someone was like, wow, like, Nikki's Facebook pictures are, like, really fun to look at, like, from college, because, like, she's, like, only friends with black people, or, like, she's, like, super, you know, like, you know, words were said.
Where's the white, Nikki?
It was somebody super said, bro, Nikki's Facebook, bro.
No, I'm serious.
No, I definitely hear
this
you.
shit, like, and I hate that I'm even fucking saying it, but I feel like it has to be said because it did affect me, and then I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And then I came home and I told my parents this.
What the fuck, man? I got too many black friends.
Yeah.
No, because you know what I did, and here's why Nikki was also dangerous back in the day, because I looked at my profile pictures or my Facebook pictures, whatever I uploaded, and I was like, oh damn, like, I guess, but then I was like, okay, A, there's so many problems with this statement. I want to say this right now. Like, A, what the fuck to the person. B, Nikki, what the fuck to, like, being so naive and I don't see color to, like, not seeing that. Because that's dangerous in its own way. Like, see the shit, you know? But, like, this is how much I've grown. Because in that moment, all I saw was, like, college friends. Like, I don't know. Like, oh my, I was so excited to, like...
That's just, like, not being naive. Like, oh, I don't see color. These are just my friends.
Exactly. And that is so dangerous in its own fucking sense, right? Yeah. So I was exposed to that, like, shock, and I was like, what the fuck? And that's when my parents were like, Nikki, what the fuck, right? So I go home, and, like, I'm like, dude, this, and this happened, like, what the fuck? And then my parents were like, dude, like, the main thing they said was, like, how, we were waiting for you to, like, have this realization.
You're not white.
Welcome to being an adult.
Exactly. Yeah. Of the realization of, like, Nikki, you're, like, you are, like, not the same. And I was like, okay, like, cool, but, like, you know, inner identity.
Honestly, bro, like, it's such a good thing for you too, because it's like, it shows that you can, you know what I mean? You can, like, one, go back to what you were saying about assimilating, but you can blend in different environments, and also it's like, you know what I mean? You found out who you were, because for so long you were just, because I guarantee, like, all your friends probably just like, no, she's white, you know what I mean? When you're not around type shit, you know what I mean?
Or she's not, like, Persian.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing I can say is that, like, I think I pride myself on having, like, a strong sense of who I am.
From the get-go.
I know exactly who the fuck I am.
Facts.
And I don't know. I don't think that was really there before I came to San Jose State. Like, it was there, but it got cemented by the time I went through college.
Facts.
So, like, I feel like San Jose State made me realize who the fuck I was.
Absolutely. Yeah. No.
It's just that worldview that you get is just, like, incomparable.
It is. And, like, it helped me get to know my parents and even my upbringing a lot, in turn getting to know me, right? Because I'm learning that my parents are just sitting here just, like, waiting, watching for Nikki to realize, like, when the fuck she realizes that, like, Pleasanton was dope, and Pleasanton was a great place to get an education and feel safe and stuff, and great people I met too, by the way. Like, I do want to, like, encompass this with the people that I'm still tight with today, like, at the core have an amazing heart and are, like, I wouldn't fuck with them if they weren't fuckable with, you know?
Yeah.
So there's that. But, like, my parents did help me realize, like, dude, not only are you different, but we're different. Like, me and dad are different. Like, why you think that we're not out here socializing? Like, you know, like, it's a little bit harder. Like, we have so many experiences that just make us a little bit, like, have a different like perspective, upcoming
shit,
whatever.
Yeah.
So it did like shake me a lot actually that year. It was a growing fucking 4 months for me, and then I came back from Thanksgiving break and I was like, holy shit, wow,
I'm a noob.
San Jose State.
I do remember that though. Like, I remember going back home for like my first break. It was like what?
Yeah, how was that for you?
It was December break, and then like I came back and I'm just like fuck, like, I mean just because I compare like life in San Jose versus life back home, and I'm just like, bro, like I met so many different people in San Jose. Like, my worldview has expanded. I knew then, even at, like, 19 years old, I'm, like, I'm getting so much more exposure to the actual real world than versus being here. And it's, like, I feel like being here is holding me back. Obviously, that was me at 19. Now, I feel different about it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you've gotten that growth, though. So that's
yeah.
that's
now,
the biggest
now
difference.
it's, like, for me, it's, like, being back home, like, helps keep me grounded to who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate it for that. Versus back then, I'm just like, nah, this is just holding me back.
But hey, it's good to have a mindset like that though, like especially in your like at our age right now, you know what I mean? Having experience, you know what I mean, for some people in the sense of like, okay, being around different, like, you know what I mean, different like people like you and you not being the sore thumb, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, I definitely feel like San Jose helped expanded my worldview for sure. Because just because I met people from so many different backgrounds.
Exactly.
And I just feel
especially
like,
from different countries and you know what
like,
I mean?
Not to put my parents on blast, I love you, mom and dad, but I just feel like my parents just, like, they were always, like, a little bit judgmental. And it's, like, I feel like me being exposed to, like, these different cultures and these different people and these different, like, way of going about life and doing day-to-day activities, it just, I became more open-minded.
Yeah.
And, like, in turn, less judgmental. So it became easier for me to unlearn being judgmental and being, like, you know, super just, like, opinionated about people off first impression.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if I went anywhere else, I wouldn't have been able to unlearn
Open
that
your
habit.
mind. Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's kind of like you were asking earlier about, like, Pleasanton identity, which I feel like I've experienced this on a minor level in comparison to anyone else, but Pleasanton for sure, like, there were moments where, like, if anyone asked me my ethnicity, like, I don't think I really owned my Iranianness until a minute, you know, like, it took a minute. So, like, in Pleasanton, like, a lot of the times I would just be like, oh yeah, I'm Persian, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, I would sense the vibe of who's asking, and then I would answer accordingly in terms of, like, what type of conversation I'm trying to have. Yeah, like, I'm Persian and, like, whatever.
Hey, did you see, like, a difference in response when you say you're Persian versus Iranian?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's why I chose to say Persian in certain situations. And, like, I remember...
Try saying, I'm from the People's Republic of Iran, and, like...
Islamic Republic of Iran?
Yeah,
absolutely. Here's my passport, see? Yeah, no, and then I remember one time, like, junior year, a girlfriend that I had that, like, was my friend for a minute, you guys, like, freshman to junior year, like, comes up to me, like, super genuinely wholesome, whatever, just didn't know, was like, did you know that, like, Persian is the same thing as Iranian? And I was like, like, yeah, dude, like, I knew, like, I thought you knew, you know, like, so, like,
and then you realize
everybody don't know.
Little things like that, but then coming to fucking San Jose State, like, just to show the polar opposite, like, in terms of just, and it's funny, because even in San Jose State, now I'm getting, like, teasing shit, you know, obviously, like, oh, Nikki's from Pleasanton, how many Uggs do you need to own, like, oh, you need another Taylor Swift song to play, like, you know, like, over it, which I totally deserve.
But that comes with it, though.
No, it comes with it, but there are the two sides, and, like, in San Jose, I felt, like, so much more at home, and, like, actually be able to, like, own that shit, and, like, also, just, like, a thing, like, I feel like dudes hit on me way more at San Jose State than in Pleasanton. Or any of my friends' schools that I visited in college.
Hey, man, white
which
boys want
cool.
their white girls.
No.
They want to keep the pure Aryan blood.
And, like, maybe this is just my experience. I'm not speaking for all people, but I'm just saying if you're, like, asking me, my experience was that, like, in a lot of cases... Yeah, San Jose State, like, I got a lot more attention, which was, like, kind of shocking at first.
Hey, Nikki, put it this way. Look, 80% of the world would probably fuck with you. It's that 20% of the suburbs that, like I said, they want to keep their bread pure and white.
Exactly. And growing up in that shit affects your psyche. You know?
Man.
Like, affects your mentality because you're like, oh, shit. Like, you know, like...
You're the only one sticking out like a sore thumb, but you're the only person that feels it.
No,
but
absolutely.
That's the thing. Sticking out like a sore thumb is crazy because I didn't realize I was sticking out like a sore thumb until later in life when I looked back on instances where I was a sore thumb.
Like a motherfucker, bro.
You know what I mean? Like,
nah, I feel you, man.
It didn't come like later until like hindsight kicked in. So
yeah,
it's weird.
I think maybe because I mean, like you said, bro, when you moved into fucking Monterey, you was around like a whole Sudanese community. So it was like who
Sudanese
you were.
community living in the midst of just.
No, but to a certain extent, it's like it'd be different if all you kicked it with was white folks.
No, all my homies growing up, I'm glad. Like my two closest homies are Sudanese, and then my third closest friend was Egyptian, which is Sudanese. Like, so it's. Yeah. I had the cultural awareness early, and I had a sense of who I was early. Yeah. So that's good.
That's important. Like,
is there a big Iranian community in Pleasanton or not?
So I am blessed to say that like I met hella fucking Persian girls in high school that to this day are like still like this with me. Damn, so okay. I don't know if that's just special to Nikki or like special to P-Town or what the fuck, but like me, Arlene, shout out Arlene, we'll do this podcast soon. Me, Arlene, Dina, like Nina, like I have a couple Persian girlfriends that are like quality 10 out of 10 dime pieces. Like I have no other way to explain them but that. So that also helped me identify with my Iranianness even more proudly because I'm like, hey, look at all these girls doing it too, you know? So it helped to have that like backup. But yeah, so that helped a lot. And in Pleasanton, there are hella white people, sure, but like there's also like other ethnicities, but I want to make it clear that these other ethnicities, either if there's like Asian, Indian, whatever, like they are whitewashed at the end of the day. Like, it's Pleasanton, we're privileged, it's whitewashed. So no matter what it is, it's a different experience than I'm sure you had, and I'm sure you had. Yeah. Like,
it's like, hey, I want my pumpkin latte.
Exactly.
That's my impression.
Exactly.